Hello and welcome to Season 4, Episode 3, I believe, of SteegCast. My name's Gareth Burrow. With me are Richard and Tom. Sean's not with us again. He's got a prior engagement, I believe.
Prior engagements, is it?
Quite possibly. He will return to us. He hasn't left and we are all still friends. So, I've gathered you both here today. You're probably wondering why I've gathered you here. I've gathered you here to talk about time travel. Some examples of time travel, some time travel references, some physical proof of time travel, people who have claimed to be time travelers. Are you aware of any examples at all? Maybe you'll recognise some that I'm going to bring up shortly.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
I think I know one or two of the ones you were going to bring up. This is a topic I quite enjoy.
It's
And,
great, yeah.
you know,
It's I'm no expert on time travel, is anyone, but it's certainly something that
yeah.
do you know sometimes where you just sort of scrolling through and looking for things to watch, and yeah, I've often found myself falling down the time travel rabbit hole, so to speak. In that case, then I'm just going to go straight into it rather than waffle on anymore. I'm going to kick things off with some stories of time travel caught on film and media. So I'm going to start with one of the bigger stories. This is of the time traveling hipster. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that photo.
I have seen this photo, yeah.
Okay. The photo itself is sometimes referred to as the modern man, but however, it is more commonly known as the time traveling hipster. The photo itself was taken in 1941 during the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada. It's a legit, authentic, proven image, with even, and this is the interesting part, even other photos, as in like other angles of the exact sort of moment of that happening. We can also see the time traveling hipster in the background of those photos too. So it's not as if there's just like one photo. There are multiple angles and stuff. And if you do a little bit of researching online, you can find them as well.
I'm looking at it right now. Is it the one where he's got like is it an M or a W on his
Yeah,
top, and
that's the one, yeah.
like sunglasses on?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
You can tell it's not this century though, because he hasn't got a short back and sides. But
Well,
other
this is
than
what
that-
you've jumped about 10 paces ahead. But yeah, that's the photo. Yeah. But that is the gentleman in question. Yeah. The time traveling hipster. The photo itself. I'll give you a little bit of a backstory first, and we'll move on to it then. But the photo itself was actually owned and released by the Canadian Museum or Canadian Museum as part of an exhibit they put on in 2004 called Their Past Lives. However, like always, when things make it to the internet, it wasn't until 2010 that the image was posted online as part of an online collection and display of those images. Again, museum linked, museum related. Leading to that image obviously further getting seen and picked up on, obviously on things like Reddit or whatever. And eventually leading to numerous claims of time travel within and discussions. And I mean, there's hundreds of videos and things you can watch on this topic alone and studies and things this over the years. But yeah, that is the image of the time traveling hipster. So, I mean, we'll go into why this particular image is linked to time travel. I mean, Tom just mentioned he's had a look at the image. So if you were to look at that image then, why would you say that could be linked to time travel? What stands out there?
He's not wearing a hat, and everyone else is wearing a hat.
That's
It was very much a thing, wasn't it? The trilby hat. That was like
Yeah.
a thing at the time. Like,
Bear in mind, this was 1941 as well. Take a look around. This man is very clearly not dressed like any other person there of the time. He looks way too current, way too modern day, and most certainly stands out. I mean, you mentioned his hair there. I would say that's quite a modern haircut. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of coming back in, that type of haircut now.
Makes me wonder what they're all looking at. Why would he go back in time to?
It was a very famous bridge reopening, I believe. I couldn't really tell you anything more about it. I don't know much on Canadian history or whatever, but it was a grand event and a grand opening sort of thing. And
South Fork Bridge. The
that's it,
reopening.
yeah.
No.
that's it. I assume they were all there to witness the opening, basically. But yeah, I mean, he's wearing shades for a start, and they've got the sides on, if you notice, as
They
well.
look like
Yeah, they're like
some sort of
like eclipse glasses, isn't they? Like
Yeah.
you'd wear to
He's-
watch the solar eclipse.
I would say that's quite a trendy cardigan. Would we call that a cardigan or like a sort
yeah,
of
it'd be cardigan definitely.
knitted hoodie type of thing? He's got a logo on the shirt, an M. He's looking very fresh as well. If you look, he's very clean shaven, very well groomed. His hair is immaculate, very fresh. And what's that in his hand there, Sue? What's that in his hand? You can see. That to me that is some kind of not modern day, but certainly a device that possibly wasn't around in 1941. What are we saying there?
So
Can't really work that.
it looks, from what I can see of it, it looks like a camera.
It's a camera. It's a camera.
Have I got a better?
Yeah, I'm
Better
trying to
look at
find
this,
different
yeah.
angles. Yeah,
I'm
it
just
does
looking
look
to
like a camera. Yeah, but like you got to ask then if he was back from the future, then wouldn't the camera be a bit smaller? Unless it's just not a camera at all.
Or
could
it would be
When-
it would
when
be
it-
in the glasses, right?
when I was looking into this, like certain sort of like historical camera experts and stuff like that have actually tried to look into this and various other photos as well, to sort of work out what type of camera it could be. I mean, I don't know if anything has come of this. They might have even said what it possibly could have been camera wise. But yeah, it was certainly. I think I don't know. It's been debunked and it hasn't been
It has,
debunked.
yeah.
For example, the t-shirt he was wearing, the M t-shirt, that is apparently rumored to be part of the Montreal Maroons team.
Yeah.
And apparently it could even be a sew-on patch. They're saying.
I'm
Could be a
looking at
sew-
the I think it's the Montreal Maroons team now. Their jersey for that and the letterings. It is different. Like
But this is the thing. This is the thing. I had a little look into that, and it's not exactly the same as the
No.
Montreal Maroons. It's really not.
more more blocky. There's no flourish off there. Like, would you say his name or a W on his
But
top?
this is it. This is it. I think it could be a case of that is possibly the closest thing that they are finding it could be then, or
Might not be there. Yeah, you're right.
but I read things that could have been like a sewn on thing rather than a transfer or whatever you call it, like this type of thing. The glasses, the glasses is an interesting one. They said they could possibly be driving glasses. Driving glasses like that did exist at the time.
What with the like the blackout on the sides, is it?
Yeah, with that on the side. Apparently glasses like that existed at the time. And as I say, various sort of like photography camera experts and stuff have tried to pick apart what he's kind of holding in his hand as well, or what could have been available at the time even. But still, I still think something doesn't quite add up about this man. He still seems way too modern and way too ahead of his time. And what I'll say then is, if everybody else is sort of dressed of that time, what was so different about this man that he was so ahead of like time and fashion? You know what I mean? That's one thing you gotta ask yourself.
Maybe he was just on his way somewhere, or like he was on his way to the hockey game, or he was going there after, or he was there before it, and that's why he's dressed like that.
Well, what would people in that era actually wear to hockey games? Is it like that?
That's what.
No, maybe he
what
was. Maybe he was
That's what we need to
training.
look into.
Maybe he was training
like an actual
like a player.
player.
One thing that I would say really made me think about this and really made me wonder was who actually was this man. Now this was 1941. This, I know it's not too long ago in terms of history and stuff, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, does anyone know his identity? We talking like family, relatives? There's got to be someone in the world who recognises this man. And I mean, as far as I'm aware, at the time of going to press of this cast, at least, he's never been identified, never been traced, never been clarified identification wise. So like, why hasn't there been ever someone out there, a friend, a family, a relative? Why hasn't anybody ever recognised this man? There's got to be someone somewhere with photos of this man in like an album or a family album or something, or on the wall or whatever. why hasn't anybody ever been able to trace this man? That is
well, it might be a
that is my
case
thing on it.
that, you know, this guy didn't have any people after him. This could have been the end of his bloodline as such. He could have been the last one.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
Obviously, there's the Friends thing, you know, but this is 1941. He looks like he's in his what, mid 30s.
I would say late 20s to early 30s. Absolutely, 30s
yeah.
possibly.
So, yeah, I would think that he'd definitely be dead now, right?
And I mean,
oh no, he
imagine
might
so.
be. No, he might be alive.
I mean,
He
this
could
is
be alive.
also
No.
you know, it's a good quality image as well. I'll give it that. It's a good quality image.
It
You
is.
can very clearly see this man in there. It's a great image of the time. So it just makes you think why is, like, you know, this is such a popular worldwide sort of image or conspiracy or whatever you want to call it. Not conspiracy as such, but you know what I mean. So like,
Yeah.
why is this man never been identified? There's probably people who are like heavily into stuff like this and would make it their mission to track this man down. Why hasn't that happened yet? That is my take on it anyway. On the time traveling hipster.
In regards to the camera, or what we think is the camera anyway, people have speculated that it could be a Kodak camera, Kodak 35 from the 1940s. That's what they reckon it could be, but no one can confirm it. I don't think the image is clear enough to really make it out.
We'd need to sort of look into what sort of handheld camera devices would have been available at this time, I imagine, as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I say in terms of people have been trying to work out what kind of camera it could have been and what was available at the time.
I'm on a website called WikiHold right now about this, and one of the like explanations of, because you know the first thing when you said is a bridge opening, I was like, why would you time travel and go back to a fucking bridge opening in the middle of Canada? But they actually touch on this pretty good, and the question they've pitched is, what if time travelers have no say or control in where they wind up? Like,
that's interesting.
So there's the only avenue where this guy is a time traveler. He received a random destination and a random time, and it was so boring that he just kept it to himself. That's what they've said on this.
Yeah, there's just no real relevance. He just sort of rocked up there and found himself there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be quite funny.
Yeah.
Oh, we discovered time travel. Do you want to go somewhere? Yeah, go on. Where can I go? I don't know. Just get in.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say if time travel devices existed or were invented, who's to say like how accurate they'd even be? You know what I mean? Or you'd even have that level of control where it's to say like, you know, I want to go to Cardiff in like 1950, whatever. You know, who's to say that they would be that accurate? You know what I mean? That's the thing. They could literally just throw you wherever. So you're absolutely right.
I would say the most logical thing for one being in a time travel being invented is it would be in the place where you are stood. That is where you land in time.
Yeah.
But
that's what I would think is logical.
Me and Burra touched on this very briefly before we started, because I picked up this book and I was just talking about, it's called What If, Randall Munroe, the creator of XKCD. The first page I turned to, I was like, oh, you know, I might just pick some stories of this to read on the cast. First page I turned to is, I assume when you... Right, this book is a book on, like, just random questions that people have asked the author, and he's like a scientist and all that. The first question that I turned to was, I assume that when you travel back in time, you end up in the same spot on Earth's surface. However, that's how it worked in Back to the Future movies. If so, what would it be like if you traveled back in time, starting in New York Square, New York, like 1,000 years, 10,000 years, and it says all that. So I think the geographical location of where you start would change because of the Earth's trajectory, depending on the time. For example, like the Earth's constantly moving, so if you time travel back,
I never thought of that.
If you travel back like 10 minutes, you could just be at the end of your street by the time you like reappear.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. There's also what you got to remember is, I know different films and stuff touch on this because you get different laws of time travel in movie and TV, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, can you travel back to the point where you were originally, or once you travel, you make a different stream basically, so you have all these different
Flashpoint
time streams. Yeah, so you can always travel forward to a point, but you can never travel back to the same point that you left. It's always going to be different.
It would, yeah, unless you travelled back there originally and you were stuck in a time loop. But yeah, it would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when like, going back to the Flash again, when I forgot what the bad guy's name was, Thorn in the first season.
Eobard Thorn, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when he goes back and
Reverse
kills.
Flash.
Yeah, when he
Yeah.
kills like Barry's
Mother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said a long time ago. I watched this, and like when Barry was a kid, he was already there as a teen or adult, so
Yeah.
that is kind of like a time loop situation. So
Yeah.
that would be similar. But you're right. Yeah, if like you were just going back in random times, you'd have loads of What do they call them in Flash? They got a name for them. Is it divergence or something like that?
Something like that. I don't know if that's Flash or if that's something else. Divergence. I can't remember.
One of the bad guys, one of the main bad guys in Flash is one of his like alternate path timeline creations of himself, isn't it? Like,
yes, Savitar, wasn't it? He's
that's the one.
The evil Flash version of the Flash because of so many different versions of him, and yeah, it gets complicated. That does, but yeah, that's a good point though. I forgot about the Flashpoint. Thinking about it, that's a pretty good, quite up to date one as well. Really.
Yeah,
Flashpoint.
yeah, I suppose it is. Reference wise, yeah, it was a while back now, mind, but yeah, that's a good one to kind of reference when you talk about time travel. Have you got any other pictures on the agenda, guy?
Yeah, I have got some pictures and video examples actually over the years of various examples of possible time travel or possible devices not of the time that have been caught on film and media. For example, there is a footage from 1938, I don't know if you've seen this one, of a woman exiting a DuPont factory, and this appears to show the woman sort of walking and talking happily along on a device which looks very similar to a mobile phone. So, have you ever seen that at all?
It's ringing a bell.
Yeah,
yeah. She's sort of like walking along, and she's very happy, like ridiculously happy, and she's sort of clearly talking to somebody on something that looks
when was this? Did you say how long far back we talking?
1938.
38.
Yeah, she's literally walking out to a factory, or finished the shift or whatever, and she's on the phone and she's like, yeah. I mean, debunkers have said that it's possible she's like listening to something or some sort of listening device or even a hearing device. But she's absolutely is talking to somebody at least, so I can't explain that one. Have you ever seen that one at all?
I have. Now that I'm looking at the photo, I know what one you're on about.
Yeah. It's a strange one because she like literally like you could even argue that is from a modern day film set of a period sort of film or whatever of the time, and she's off camera just on the phone like in between takes. I would even say it looks like that.
So from what I gather, they're saying that this was an initial test of a wireless communication device.
Basically, a prototype of a mobile phone. Then we say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like this can't be a reliable source because it's come from a comment on YouTube. That is not a reliable source whatsoever.
No. Of course
just
not.
Someone saying this is my great grandmother Gertrude, and she was testing out the early wireless communication device. Like that's not something I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna need a bit more information, please. But
yeah.
Right, I've just found it now. Right, 1938. Right. Quite small considering back in those days didn't even
you had
the
the Saved by the Bell
have...
phones.
Yeah.
That they were like the first.
You would have had the
yeah.
Pull the antenna out jobby, proper car phone as they called them back then. Hence the name car phone warehouse would have come from the term car phone. It was essentially a car phone, like it was a big thing, like.
In that picture, there's a woman in front of her with like Princess Leia kind of hair, and she's also holding something that looks. I don't know. It's just a black.
Could it have been that this lady or them particular ladies from the DuPont factory? I'm not quite sure what a DuPont factory make or do. Actually, you can look into that one if you want. But yeah, is it quite possible that this lady or these particular ladies were given some prototype device of some sort, communication wise?
Chemical company,
Oh,
from
there
what
we
I can
go
find.
then.
Well,
Go on.
nobody seems to be paying any like special attention to her, which
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
another thing. Like, if someone had this sort of like years ahead of time technology in their hand, most people would be like, "Oh, look at it on the phone.
Yeah,
What's that
yeah.
like?" So
Yeah.
like, that's incredible. Everyone just sort of. That's another thing. In many ways, she sort of she fits in with the time, but at the same time, she doesn't fit in with the time.
Well, going back to
It's a
the
strange
time
one.
traveling hipster, no one's really looking at that guy, but there's one
Oh.
woman. There's one woman that's looking down at the general direction of what he's holding
Right. Okay.
in that picture.
I'll be moving on. Right.
But yeah,
I'm not going to jump too far ahead, but I'll be moving back onto that picture now because there's something even more fascinating. I've actually got a story of someone else who apparently claims to be in that picture. Spoiler alert, but we'll be moving back onto that picture in just a bit.
okay.
We'll get back onto that now.
Cool.
Very exciting stories coming up.
But yeah, like Tom says though, no one is at all sort of concerned that there's this weird electrical device in this woman's hand.
But this is it. And not only that, she seems very comfortable and happy doing it as if it's something she does every day, sort of thing. You know, there's no like uncertainty of like picking up a device and being sort of like, what's this kind of thing? How does it work? So it's a strange one. It's It's certainly quite an enjoyable one because to me it just looks very natural that that is a device not of the time, but at the same time within that time.
Can you see the picture that I'm looking at, the one with the woman in front of her that's also holding the black object in her right hand?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it could be something from the factory, and I hate to be that kind of guy, but she could just be scratching her face whilst holding it.
Yeah. It could be like an umbrella for all you know. I mean,
Well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I just for the benefit of the tape and viewers and anyone listening, I am no way saying I believe any of these. By the way, I'm literally just looking at what's presented and what it could be. That's what. That's
Yeah.
it.
I
But
get it.
yeah, it could easily be that. I mean, that could absolutely be one explanation. As I say, but she seems to definitely be talking to somebody. So whether it's just talking to those around her or whatever, and she's holding something and she's talking. I mean, that
Yeah.
is a given there. So but there's another clip of a similar example. This one, you may have seen this one as well. This features from a Charlie Chaplin film premiere. Now the clip was uploaded to YouTube in October of 2010 by a filmmaker called George Clark, an Irish filmmaker, and the video was labeled Chaplin's Time Traveller. So this particular footage is actually from the DVD extras of a Charlie Chaplin film called The Circus, and that film was released in 1928. Now, bear in mind.
right.
So this clip is from the premiere of that film, and this was at LA's Grauman's Theatre, I believe. And this basically shows a woman walking and talking, basically coming in to the premiere on a device that pretty much resembles a modern day mobile phone. She's sort of just very quickly walking past, sort of like in a rush or whatever, but walking, talking. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking at her now.
Yeah. So that is there's two very similar examples there, of this kind of thing, of a mobile phone sort of put on camera then.
So this one
Potential mobile phone.
wasn't part of the film. It was like somebody.
Part of the
It was,
premiere.
so the zebra thing out front is like an advertisement for the Charlie Chaplin film.
Yeah,
is it?
it's basically
Right.
it would be the equivalent or then of filming like outside like Leicester Square. Is that where they have premieres?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. The red carpet event or whatever. The showcase. Then it would be the equivalent of just filming a bit of background B-roll or whatever you want to call it of the premiere. And they've captured this woman walking past, and she appears to be on a mobile phone. That's it basically. But obviously, nobody would think anything of that if this was 2022 or any time before. But this was from 1928.
That's nearly 100 years now.
Yeah.
Mad to think that, eh?
But yeah, nobody really saw this till the sort of well, it was on the DVD extras, and as I say, it was sort of like put on YouTube as a Chaplin's time travel, and I think as I as always, he sort of picked up from there. It was obviously posted at various places and things, and that was it really. But yeah, two very very similar examples there of potential mobile phone use. there.
Maybe she's trying to hide her face.
Some people have said it's like a year a hard of hearing old fashioned
yeah.
device.
For a
Some
while,
people
the
have said
carbon
it-
amplifier,
Yeah.
patented by the Simons, played a major role in hearing aid technology and significantly raised the volume of hearing aids.
So that's what we're saying. We're saying it's possibly an old school hearing device.
There's a lot of possibilities, but I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and saying it's a mobile phone. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that person. But I'm extremely open to any sort of ideas. I mean, no one can fully debunk anything like that. I mean, it was so long ago as well. So
God, this is what Gordon Cole is wearing in Twin Peaks. I'll send it over to you guys now, and hopefully Richard.
what the
pop it up on
the ear device is it?
pop it on the screen. That
Okay.
on one of those old cameras, if you were to hold that to your face, that would kind of look like a phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd reckon.
Yeah, I mean, most of the theories I have looked into on this particular woman has been it's been some kind of hearing aid device, so it might possibly add up.
Ah, but still.
But there are a few other examples as well. Another one, which I believe has since been debunked by camera experts and stuff, but there was talk around then, at least at the time it was noticed, of a photo taken from Brazil's win over Czechoslovakia in the final of the 1962 World Cup. This basically shows a small sort of gathering of paparazzi press photographers. They are sort of surrounding a Brazilian player called Garrincha, is that how you say it, who was voted player of the tournament, man of the match, whatever you want to call it. But he's sort of holding up the cup, and they're all sort of directly in front of him, and all the fellas seem to all have the same type of camera, but there's one particular man who's sort of holding it up as you would, hold a mobile phone taking a photo of him. And I mean, this did the rounds of time travel proof. But I think in later years, it was possibly thought to be what's known as like a box camera. Yeah, but that was one. As I say, I do think that has later been sort of pushed aside in terms of time travel.
So where in this photo is that fella?
Directly in front.
Directly in front. Oh,
pointing up,
I
yeah.
see him.
Yeah. So I say to quickly glance at that, it would obviously look as though someone is holding up a mobile phone, but I do think it has heavily been picked apart and was
To me, yeah.
box
An
camera. I
audio
believe.
device.
Yeah.
It looks
To me, it looks like a field recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, or something like that, or whatever. But
Which definitely would have been around at that point, because you have
Yeah, I
reporters
mean,
and stuff.
yeah, they would have been.
Dictaphones and whatnot. Like
They are obviously reporters, journalists, press, whatever you want to call them.
There's actually another
Yeah.
one in the bottom left of the photo.
Of a similar device.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. But that was one. There's also there was also a painting I was looking at called The Expected One. This was an 1860 painting by an Austrian artist, Ferdinand George Waldmüller, and apparently people claim that this was a portrait of a woman staring down, holding an iPhone, basically, whilst walking along the countryside.
Yeah, look
However,
at that.
However, that's also been debunked, and and apparently it was simply just a prayer book.
Oh, boring.
That was another similar example. Going back to that, a photograph was from 1943, and you may have seen this one. There's a photograph basically on a beach in Cornwall, Newquay, Cornwall, I believe, on Towan Beach. And this is basically a beach full of people, and there is just a man that's sort of standing there he's not dressed exactly like he's on the beach, you know what I mean, or for leisure purposes on the beach at least, and he's sort of like standing there looking down into a mobile phone.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen
I
this
Um,
one.
can see it. He's
Did-
in like
now-
a brown jacket, is it?
Brown sort of suity type effort. Yeah. Now this was uploaded to Twitter in 2018 by a multimedia artist called Stuart Humphreys. But it later got picked up on and did the rounds online, and even made it to sort of like UK press. It's also been on like Fox News and stuff and things, and stuff like Lad Bible, you know, and things like that has been on here as well. And it's just sort of, that one is very heavily done the rounds and stuff. But the person who uploaded it, in fact, I just mentioned now that Stuart Humphreys chap, he actually has gone on record as saying that, or dismissing the fact it's a time travel, and he said that the man was probably just rolling up a cigarette. That
Yeah.
was the quote he said. He's basically said it's probably just a man rolling up a cigarette. So take that as you will. I mean, that is certainly an extremely logical example of that. It is just a man just rolling up a cigarette on
'Cause,
a
yeah,
beach of holidaymakers or whatever.
You can't really make out what it is that's in his hand.
No, that's it. That's it.
So,
I mean, people have argued that he's sort of dressed differently, or he's not really sort of in a relaxed sort of mode for the beach or whatever.
Why he's on a ciggy, son?
Yeah, but that's a few photo and video based examples anyway of sort of mobile phones apparently caught on,
I mean,
on film and camera.
they can say that he's not dressed for the beach, but look around. There's loads of men there that are dressed
Well,
quite
this is it.
similar.
This is
Yeah.
it then.
You
I mean, old men sort of, you know, even now, sort of the older generation, have always been brought up sort of dressing smart, shirt and tie. You know, there's some old gentlemen who still to this day wear a shirt and tie every day, even just around the house or whatever. I mean, you must have seen people like that yourself. So, I just think that perhaps that was sort of maybe the attire anyway. But I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one. I mean, it's very possibly he could have had rolling tobacco. These are keeping in little tins and things.
Yeah.
However, it's very possibly he was rolling a cigarette. But I don't know.
Good to speculate, Ines. Good to speculate.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all the examples of time travel or time travel devices sort of caught on sort of like film and media type of thing. And unless there's any others that you may have known that I haven't mentioned yet at all.
I think they're the most popular ones.
We'll go into celebrities in a bit. By the way, I've got a little bit on sort of celebrity time travelers, if you will.
But I think the most popular one for me was the time traveling hipster.
Time traveling hipster, absolutely, yeah. And I think that's my most favourite as well out of all of them, because it's a very clear image, and you can clearly see what's going on. That's probably my favourite one. But yeah, if there's nothing else to particularly add on that subject, I'm going to move on to people who have claimed to be time travellers. Now, this was a real interesting piece that I particularly enjoyed when researching this. So yeah, are you aware of a man called Andrew Carlson?
Not by name.
Not personally.
Okay, I'll tell you. So in February of 2003, a man named Andrew Carlson, he was investigated by the FBI at the request of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Reasons being, he was under suspicion of insider trading, within the stock market, etc., and the basically what we were talking about in our stonks episode, ironically. Suspicions began when the SEC learned that Andrew Carlson inexplicably increased his assets in cash from an initial value, and this is insane, by the way, of $800 to $350 million in the space. This is where it gets good. In the space of only 2 weeks.
What?
So, yeah, he raised his assets from $800, a simple $800, to $350 million in the space of a fortnight. Obviously, despite the high risk in each investment, Carson's trades experienced an extraordinary gain And this news sort of caught the attention of the traders at the Wall Street Stock Exchange, raised a few eyebrows, so to speak. So, as I say, in just 2 weeks, his turnaround from $800 to $350, with 126 commercial trades in the US stock market. And I knew this one would very much interest Tom as well, so I was looking forward to throwing this story in. So, in his interviews with the FBI, Carlson told them he was a time traveler from 2256, and he could even prove it. He sort of he would also say that he would give them information on like certain future events. One of them being like the location of Osama bin Laden, even a cure for AIDS, the date of Iraq wars and things like that. But yeah, basically they were almost certain that his success then was absolutely not down to just luck, and as a result of that, he was arrested for insider trading by the SEC and authorities.
I can see I got a bit of a newspaper headline here, and it says that the SEC inside, are they the same people that actually the same like organization but department that investigated Deep Fucking Value, the guy that kicked off the old GME thing, GameStop thing.
Right.
Same people that they're the regulators really, but
Okay.
anyway,
That's, I mean, it's heavily ties into the stonks. That's what I mean. That's why this was such a good story. Like,
but yeah, you can see it says here that what they say is, we don't believe this guy's story. He's either a lunatic or a pathological liar. But the fact is, with his initial investment of $800, $800,
$800.
Yeah,
And he turned that into $350 million within a fortnight. And that was 126 commercial trades there, as I say.
Yeah, and he said they say that every trade he made capitalized on unexpected business developments, which simply can't be pure luck. So
he never made like a loss or anything as well, by the looks of it as well. So like
yeah, but he weren't just betting or like betting. He weren't just putting his stocks on standard businesses and
no,
standardly climbing. It's like what happened with GME, just on a much grander scale by the looks of things.
Yeah,
with multiple businesses. That's mental. That is mental.
In many ways, that sort of backed up the claim was where he knew something. But in his confessions, or whatever you want to call it, his interviews, then his videotaped interviews, he said it was just too tempting to resist. He'd planned to make it look natural, to lose a little bit here and there, so it doesn't look completely perfect or too good to be true. But he got caught up in the moment. So yeah. Apparently, he was from 2256. Though.
Where's he now? Then I wonder.
Will we move on to that now? This is where it gets very interesting. So you mentioned they, did they believe sort of Carlson's story about time travel? They call him lunatic, pathological liar, etc., etc. But I think they were somewhat confused where he was sort of getting this information from, nonetheless, or not the information, the sort of the knowledge of, these investments. Then.
Well, yeah, that's it.
They say,
if the hedge funds don't know about these in advance, then how the hell is he going to know about them?
Yeah.
I'm just looking back through some information I had noted on. It says, according to an SEC source, if a company's stock rose due to a merger or technological development that was supposed to be a secret, Carlson knew knew about it in advance. Somehow knew about it in advance. They also stated, the SEC, that they couldn't find any record of Andrew Carlson's presence before, and this is where it gets interesting, before December 2002. So, very, very interesting. This is great.
The more you say about this story, the more it's ringing some bells for me. I'm sure I've seen this. I must have seen this before.
It's a great story, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, in his confession, or his testimony, or whatever you want to call it, he said that he'd be willing to reveal, as I mentioned, the cure for AIDS, the date of the US invasion of Iraq, and the exact location and hideout of Osama bin Laden. He said he simply just wanted to return to his time machine and go back to his normal timeline.
Tell you what's
Um,
interesting on this one is I
now,
just looked up the
this
one.
is
Go on. Go
yeah,
on.
yeah. Probably going to say the same thing.
I'm on mysteriousfacts.com right now, and it says on here Carlson was supposed to meet up with his lawyer on April the
You've
2nd,
jumped about
2000.
10 steps ahead.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll hold on
yeah.
and I'll hold on that one. Carry on.
This is the big one for me. This is what I particularly enjoy. This is where it gets interesting. Carson apparently admitted or stated that he's also in the time traveling hipster photo. just slightly over from the hipster himself. Now, if you actually take another look at the time traveling hipster photo, you will see a man that does look very, very similar to Andrew Carlson. He's even circled out as well in some photos. But yeah, just slightly over. And if you were to look at the two
to the left or to the Christ,
yeah,
to the left.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really spooky because he literally does look pretty much like the same guy.
1, 2, 3 people up from him, is it?
Yeah, I sort of like slightly over. Yeah. Now this is where it gets interesting. If this is the case, what was so special, as we said earlier, about that bridge opening, that you've got two time travelers there within one image?
Does make you wonder. Is that bridge still going? Is there gonna be a disaster there in the future that hasn't happened yet? I wonder.
We don't know, but this is where it was like, whoa. When I was like, wait a minute now. So I was like, I've been researching a time traveling hipster photo. That's fine. World renowned time traveling hipster photo, and then all of a sudden I find out there's actually another man that's also linked to this photo. And I never knew that before. This is the first I'd ever heard of it. I was aware of the Andrew Carlson story sort of thing, but I never knew that he was supposed to be in that photo as well. Yeah.
So I have done, from what I found on this. So this particular story, time travel. This guy, the time traveler who did all the Andrew Carlson stocks and whatnot. The only proof that it's come from is a news article from a newspaper called what's it called? Sorry, Weekly World News.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah. I've seen the article. Yeah, I've seen the article.
So Weekly World News, it's the only place that has published this story and run it. There's actually no evidence that someone turned that amount of money over on stocks at any one given time. And this newspaper's been around for a bit now. And in the terms of service of that page, it does say that a number of different sources and some are fictitious or satirical. So I think that this story isn't completely true.
No, somewhat exaggerated.
What a weird thing to make up, though.
He was apparently jailed for 2 months though. So there's got to be at least some record of that, as well as someone deposit an anonymous person, then an unidentified benefactor, I believe it was called. Someone deposited £1 million to bail him out as well. So if that was the case, and there is record of his arrest and his 2-month imprisonment, who bailed him out? That's another thing. So apparently then, if this is a true story, Carlson was supposed to meet with his lawyer on April the 2nd, 2003. He didn't show up, and the authorities have failed to trace him even to this day. So if this was a real person, who was he? Where did he go? Where is he? And, it's obviously thought of then he's possibly returned back to his own time and travel back to the future, if that is the case. But he's apparently never been seen again. In response to Tom's earlier question.
Yeah, they published 2 different pictures of him as well in the article. The face
2 different people.
As
2
people.
in 2 different people.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of like coming from that far into the future, you would think that they would be smart enough. I say this because people these days are fucking stupid, and you would think people these days would be smart enough, but you never know. He would like profiting that much in such a short space of time would make him stand out. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not.
so
That's not right to blend
it doesn't
into.
make sense. Also, it does kind of follow the same line as Back to the Future, where Biff makes all the money
Biff Tanner.
when he goes, when he has the almanac and bets and all the sporting things, and just makes his fortune.
Can I just say as well? Yeah, this Andrew Carlson story would absolutely make a good film, or would have made a good film. Totally. That if you what I've just said and what we've been speaking about with it, if you was to picture that as a sort of as a script, that would make a great story. Even a book or whatever. It's a great story. Even if it is fictitious, it's a great story. And again, no one is saying that it is 100% true.
I think this one's a bit of a fake, to be honest. If I'm giving my opinion on it, like, I think that's
absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. I mean, what are other people thinking? What are other people saying on it? Let us know. Let us know by all means. By all means. But I mean, amongst the time traveling community, it's obviously believed that he's returned to his timecraft and his own time. He made his fortune and hit the road or
depends
the sky
what sources.
or
whatever. Same goes with anything really, but it depends what sources you want to believe. I mean,
well, this is it. Yeah, this is it. But this is why I find it so fun or interesting. This because I mean nothing is concrete with this.
No.
I mean I've got a few other stories which I'll tell you about as well. Some of them have been heavily debunked. But nevertheless, at the time then, these things were thought to be time travelers and are still sort of heavily told stories within this sort of thing. So they're all relevant, even if they're not, even if they're not entirely true. You may have seen online in 2018 a man referred to himself as Noah. Did you ever see that?
Noah.
He made some sort of like videos and things online claiming to be a time traveler from 2030. He even took a lie detector test live on camera as well. To make sure that his series of claims and things were true. A few things he said, such as like humans had finally been able to travel to Mars, a cure for cancer was found, electric cars were a prominent thing. He claimed that due to climate change, America had become much warmer and Europe and UK a lot cooler and things like that. They were a series of little videos. He had like a blurred face out or whatever to protect identity. I don't know if you've ever seen them at all. And there are a few other similar people as well, which I'll be talking about in a moment. But did you ever see this Noah fella?
No.
Yeah, I can remember sort of I can remember it sort of happening at the time. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to this particular one though. Other ones I did a little bit more, but this one was sort of But
he's like a young man. This fella, this Noah.
Yeah, it's a young fella. Yeah, I think his face is sort of blurred out, don't it? Or is it not?
Yeah, but there are pictures of without his face blurred too, but in the vast majority,
I remember he was a youngish sort of demeanor going on. Yeah, but I don't know. Then I can't tell you on this one, unfortunately. Whatever became of this Noah character, or if it was ever, I can't really remember if it was ever debunked or claimed to be fake. I don't know. I can remember it happening and it being spoke of, and it does come up still if you watch certain things on time travel or whatever, or read up on certain things. His name still gets mentioned, but I don't really know what the outcome was on it all, or whatever became of this Noah character.
Apparently, he claimed that Donald Trump would be elected for a second term.
Okay.
Well,
didn't say when. Hold on.
Didn't say
President
when.
of the United States
but
after
still
the
happen.
2020 election will be Donald J. Trump. When did Trump get elected?
2016. Yeah.
16 then, was it?
Yeah.
16, 17. Yeah. Was it?
15, 2015.
No, 16.
No, it was 20.
16.
No, it was 16. It was 16.
Yeah, because 2020 would have been next, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, no one ever saw that coming, did he? Anyway.
Yeah, but this Noah character, he made a few claims, made a few videos. I don't know if anything ever surfaced again since. I don't know, unfortunately. Maybe I should know that, but I don't. I really don't. Well, I don't know what became of him. Do you ever see him at all?
No, it's the first time hearing about this
No,
fella, to be
I
honest
haven't
with you.
heard that one either.
Well, there was another very similar one that sort of appeared not so long after. You might have seen this one. The guy sort of had like a rubber mask on and sort of like a fake disguise, like a bald head. And did you ever see him? Alexander Smith. You might have seen that one as well.
Favorite?
That was a slightly more popular one. Now this was a time traveler who claimed to be sent to the year 2118 on a secret mission for the CIA. And he claimed that he was sent to 2118 in the year 1981 by the CIA. He claimed to have met his past self in the 80s, and he also claimed he had photo proof, which he shows in one of his videos, of 2118, I believe it was a city. I can't remember what it was, possibly like LA or something. But he shows a photo, and it basically shows sort of like flying cars and a different type of landscape, which he claims is from that time.
Turquoise or teal kind of skyscrapers.
Yeah. He also explains that he was putting his life on the line by revealing details of his so-called voyages to the future. And as I say, he seems to be wearing some sort of like mask type effort. As a disguise in his videos. He talks in a sort of like a sort of I'm in trouble type of demeanor, if I remember, type of thing. And there's quite a grainy video. There's not really much going on. You think he wears a bit of a suit type effort, fake mask or whatever. That's about it really. But he claimed to be on a secret CIA mission. But that's a lot more famous one though. This Alexander Smith, from what I remember.
When did that come out? Again, it was 2018 that it came out, did it?
2018, I think it was, but possibly it was around the same, not long after that. No, I don't know the exact year. It was not longer, but again, I don't really know what became of this guy as well. I think it's just sort of the upload stopped, perhaps, and I don't really know what became of this guy. That's another thing. I never really know what becomes of these. There's only a few that have sort of been debunked or sort of, whatever. I don't know what became of this one. I'll be honest with you. It might have literally just sort of stopped.
All right. Sorry. I'm on the I'm just on like a random Wikipedia page, and there's one for this fella, Haken Nord.
Yeah, that's coming up. He's coming up next. All
right, go on. I'll let you.
Yeah, again, 30 steps ahead. He's coming up next. Yeah. I'll move on to that then, since you brought him up. Hayden.
Nordqvist?
Let's talk about Hayden Norvik then. We can talk about Hayden Nordqvist.
Norvik.
Norvik. So this one, great time traveling story. But this was later debunked, which I'll get onto in a moment. Or basically revealed then. But yeah, this was a 2006 video upload of a Swedish man named Hakan Nordqvist. He claimed that he had been accidentally transported to 2046 whilst attempting, this is where it gets quite funny, to fix the sink in his kitchen. So under the sink, basically, he found a time traveling portal, which led him into the future. He then met someone who he claimed to be himself at about 70 years old, who he hung out with, had a great time and stuff, and got to know him, etc. And they did even like videos filmed and some short sort of little clips of the two smiling, hugging, shaking hands, etc. They also compare the same tattoo on them, on the right arm, I believe. But real great stuff. At the time, you think, okay, this is great. Could be some real depth to this going on. Maybe he did find a portal under the sink. But apparently, the story was later revealed to be a viral marketing campaign promoting pension plans by the insurance company AMV. So that has been,
Jesus.
yeah, that has been
All for
sort
a
of,
pension plan.
yeah, but some great footage, though, great story. And again, I know this wasn't a great story, but it is one that regularly comes up in the time travel talks or whatever, and videos you see on time travel, purely because it's a sort of story in relation to, and at the time was very heavily discussed within this subject. So that's a great one. Yeah, but that is fake, and that has been proven fake. But do you ever remember that one at all? I couldn't remember seeing that as it came out.
No, God, no! I just saw it on the
No.
Wikipedia now, and that's the
That
first
was
thing I
so that was
think.
Hakan Nordvisk. Are you aware of John Tito by any chance? This is another interesting one. John Tito, or Tito possibly, was he was a person claiming to be an American military time traveler from 2036. So a series of posts were made on online forums from Tito, again claiming to be an American soldier from 2036, based in Tampa, Florida, and apparently he was assigned to a government time travel project and sent back to 1975. It's quite a funny one. Sent back to 1975 to retrieve an IBM 5100, or whatever you say it,
Oh my
5100
God,
computer.
Steins Gate! This is the story
Um,
of Steins Gate.
I
That's
don't know
my
that
background.
story.
My background's is
Oh, that's it, is it?
yeah,
Um,
it's I I don't like to bring it up in public, but there's a Japanese TV show, let's call it, called Steins Gate.
it's based on this,
And
is it?
yeah. I mean, even on the wiki now that I'm looking at right now for this one, it says in the Japanese visual novel Steins Gate, and in the play he also discussed the occasional radio show. But yeah, apparently this is what's from there. And the thing you mentioned just then, the computer that he was getting, where's
Yeah,
that?
for some reason, he said he wanted something from that particular computer in relation to whatever. I don't know, but that was his mission, if you will. But yeah, the outcome of this one, though, I'd mentioned, like, I don't really know what happened, but with this one, he was last heard of in 2001. He was never heard of sort of after that. That was the last post sort of dried up or whatever. But yeah, I don't really know.
What was his name?
John Tito. I don't really know a
TITOL.
great deal about that one, but this story always comes up in sort of like little time travel based presentations and stuff. This is quite a regular one that comes up. John Tito. But yeah.
Because, like, surely he would obviously exist now if he's in the military in 2036. Right?
Facebook him.
Yeah, but he's disappeared
Doxed.
apparently.
Doxed as fuck.
He disappeared apparently. Now we go back. I'm going to end this particular section on the most recent stories of people who claim to be time travelers. You must have seen this one. You absolutely must have seen this one. This is the TikTok time traveler. You must be aware of this one. Yeah? TikTok time traveler.
I'll Google. Hold on.
So
TikTok time.
So in 2021, so very recently, video has surfaced of a man claiming to be from 2027, and this man is always at sort of places that would otherwise be heavily populated, but appear to be completely deserted. Not a soul around, nothing happening, no movement, not a single thing going on or a single other person around. And his username is Unicos Brivavente. Which means TikTok time traveler. But his username is Unos Brivavente, which means only survivor in Spanish, I believe. And he gained over 6 million TikTok followers in a short space of time by sharing his one-man adventures as a time traveler. Again, filming abandoned places, buildings, and cities all around Spain. And he claims to be stuck in 2000 and 2027, 2028, something like that. And he's even previously warned that human extinction is just a few years away as well, apparently. So his first ever post, his first ever TikTok video, he narrates that he's just woken up in hospital. He doesn't know what happened, and today is February the 13th, 2027. I am alone in the city, and the story continued from there, basically. But basically, in that video I just mentioned, you just basically see him wandering around, and there's absolutely nobody about, and he's in, city what would be otherwise extremely busy times of day. People have commented on his things as well and said that he's obviously going there really early in the morning, at like 6 a.m. or something. So he's responded to that by going to a very public location with a sort of like public clock or public date and time clock or whatever, and having a photo there, or basically making it known the time he's there. And again, the same result: absolutely deserted, abandoned. And there is a series of these videos. I think even right up until recent, he's still posting or whatever.
Right. So he's, just so I got this straight, because I don't know about this. He's taking these videos in his own time, and they're being sent to our time.
Yeah, he's in the future, basically, is my understanding of it, where there is no humanity, or there is some sort of human extinction, and he's trapped in this sort of time zone, and he's the only person there, I believe it is. So he's in like shopping malls, shopping precincts, city centres. And to look at this, it's like, how is he doing this? Is it some sort of like really advanced editing where he's able to take away every single little person or a little detail of something going on? If that is the case, it's still marvellous how he's done that, and the editing is insane if that's the case. But yeah, you've got to ask yourself, how on earth is he doing this? Because they look so realistic. People have even commented him telling to go to certain locations at certain times, certain days. They've asked him to prove certain things, to stand by certain things, to film certain things. And he's responded by more or less doing this. So they say with the clocks and things like that. So it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. And this is real recent. We're talking like last year to present, as far as I'm aware. Have you ever seen any of the videos at all yet?
No, this is news to me.
Yeah, but yeah, as soon as I had the idea of this idea's been kicking around a while, really, to talk about time travel and stuff, and this came about then. In fact, that's how recent it is. Very, very recent. So that is a modern day example, as fresh as it gets, of possible time travel encounters caught on film, video, camera, whatever you want to call it. I think his name is Javier, even though that his username is
Javier.
Yeah, Javier, however you want to pronounce it. Apologies there. That is his username. Translates to, what did I say? It translates to Unicus Brevivente, only survivor. So yeah, he's basically playing upon the fact that he is the last person left within that time zone, timeline, time frame, whatever you want to call it. I say they are extremely convincing videos. They really are. My hats off to him. If he's edited these videos in a certain way, then well done, because they are amazing. Like, honestly.
What you got to remember is Hollywood films now, they can literally remove countrysides and everything in between.
That's what I mean. In terms of editing, it's great. Like, if that's the case.
Like, from what I can see, CGI experts have debunked this, but they say that he is obviously an expert in CGI.
Oh yeah, he'd have to be.
These things. They say that they're not real, according to them. So
it'd make a really good like a climate change activist kind of post. That would, if tilted in the right way, make really good PR. That would.
As I say, I'm not saying I believe this at all, but absolutely hats off to him, because whatever he's using, if he's doing this at home or whatever, and he's editing these videos, using some kind of software available to him, then excellent, because he's done a great job. He really has done a great job. Like,
to give a bit of perspective. So remember the whole farce over the Superman mustache that was poorly edited out CGI, and you could clearly see there was a mustache. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, there's been like people on YouTube, like content creators on YouTube, who are good at all sorts of things. And I can't remember the name of the channel, but they re-edited it, that footage, and they made it look good. And it's like, this just proves that there are people out there that are just as good, if not better, than some of the Hollywood CGI folk.
Yeah, like some of the fan made versions of stuff you see, don't you, of like things, and they're like way better. Like these sort of like these not fake trailers then, but people's takes on possible trailers or their versions of trailers for films that could happen one day. Yeah, and they're like, this is amazing. Like, absolutely.
There was a channel that did superhero verses, and they'd have like Deadpool versus Red Hood and
as a trailer, like, is it?
And well, they would film it as full action scene or whatever.
They would make it then. You mean?
Yeah, and it looked really good. Like it could have been a TV show quality. I wouldn't say it was quite movie quality, but it was TV show quality. And you think, like, with people with the right resources can do shit like that. People can easily do CGI to get millions of TikTok followers. So, like, you think, how much has he earned off the back of this? Because I know on TikTok, it's the same with Instagram and everything else. When you get to a certain level of followers and likes and all that, the stats are in your favor. You can monetize yourself, basically. So
very well done.
A good bit of money off that.
Absolutely, gotta be. And as I say, it's extremely well done. So if that's his game, that's great. Like, and it's just a harmless bit of entertainment, perhaps. I'm going to move on to celebrity time travelers. This is my next move. Trump was just mentioned, wasn't he? I can't remember why we mentioned it, but he was just mentioned. So this is a talk of what originally started amongst the Reddit community. You might have seen this one, in fact, then, if that's the case. This is in regards to a series of books from the late 1800s that has a character called Baron Trump. Are you aware of this at all?
No.
Baron, of course, is the name of Donald Trump's actual young son.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So
so that's all I'm getting on Google is just
this is
fucking kid, like.
This is the book itself is called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey.
I see it.
Yeah. Now this is about a wealthy young man who lives in a fictional place called Castle Trump. Could this potentially be Trump Towers? And his adventures begin when Don, the master of all masters, inspires him to travel to Russia, where he finds a portal that allows him to travel to other lands. Now, the coincidences within these books of obviously struck an interest from internet conspiracy theorists and time travel enthusiasts, etc., who believe that the Trump family basically have access to time travel and to a portal within, and has done so for many years through the president's uncle, engineer John Trump. Now, John Trump reportedly had access to papers and research of Nikola, am I saying it right, Tesla, who, according to theory, was researching time travel. And it's widely rumoured amongst that community that the knowledge that Trump had and the ability of or access to certain time travel based elements, devices, led to his win in the 2016 presidential election. It was 2016, 2016 presidential elections. And the books I just mentioned are by Insigul Lockwood, who was apparently a lawyer that dabbled in fantasy fiction.
Do you reckon time travel then just makes you slightly retarded? What happened to Donald Trump?
But this is great though, because these stories, they all sort of have references to Trump's life. Like, Castle
Have you
Trump.
seen
Trump Tower.
this guy Don's name in this book? Have you read this guy's full name?
Yeah, it's Don. Do you know, like you get like Don Vito, Don Carlo, or whatever? It's one of them kind of Dons, isn't it? I believe.
No, not necessarily.
It's Don something.
Don Constantino
That's it.
Bartolomeu Strepfolodbijiguan.
Yeah, it's
Nailed it.
Yeah,
I think he was.
nailed it.
I think he was a Don, as in the Don. I think he was a proper Don, like.
Commonly known among scholars as Don Thumb. Yeah, it's probably easier to say now.
Don Thumb, is it? So Don Trump, see? Don Trump. Similar, it's not too... there's not too... you can see, though, why people have made these connections, though. I can, at
Baron
least.
Trump's Marvelous Underground is a bit...
I can see why people have made these connections, me personally, anyway. I mean, I'm not saying I believe this, but I can absolutely see...
Baron's a weird name, isn't it?
A strange name, isn't it? I can see where these connections have come from.
It's a super villain name, Baron.
It's a lord, isn't it, Baron?
I think there are other theories. I think there's a good few theories about Donald Trump time traveling. But this was an interesting one. I'm sure there are other things. But do you know, like when you get like photos of somebody that look like him or whatever? I think there are other things. But this was an interesting one because it's based upon a narrative rather than a photo of, oh look, here's Trump in like 19 whatever.
Yeah.
This was a far more interesting one to look into.
Well, seeing as you mentioned Donald Trump, I'll just chuck this in here quickly.
Right.
So we all know the whole thing about the Simpsons predicting future events.
Yes. This is a perfect tie into that.
So Donald Trump has, I think it's 2 instances he has of Simpsons tie-ins. So the one to debunk, first of all, is the one where he's coming down the escalator and it completely mirrors him in a shopping centre, coming down the escalator, waving or whatever. And then there's a Simpsons, it's not even an episode, it's a promo piece, I think, where Homer's directly behind him coming down. And people went wild thinking that, oh my God, the Simpsons exactly predicted what was going to happen. It's not. They were spoofing that particular event.
Yeah.
And that's not real. The one that is real, though, which was
Israel.
is real, is the one where Lisa becomes president in the future, and she comments that they've inherited a great debt from President Trump.
From President Trump, yeah.
And that was that was well before Trump obviously came to office and all that. I think at the time though, Donald Trump was flirting with the idea of running. I think that's why the joke was said in that time. Because he said I think that's when he famously said, if I was to run for office, I would run as a Republican because all their voters are stupid. So that's that. I think that's when he said that.
That was before he done the time travel and become a bit.
yeah. But yeah, the Simpsons have done a couple of things. I think my favorite one of my favorite ones from the Simpsons was the Fox Disney merger, because they put an episode out of that a good few years before Disney actually bought Fox, and in that episode it had the Fox Corporation, then underneath it has property of the Disney property of the Disney Corporation. I think that's just a spoof on it, whatever, because Disney's buying everything. They bought Marvel, they bought Lucasfilm, all this stuff, and eventually they did buy Fox. So
you could argue that is one of the ones that did come true. Like.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are like things happened and they're similar to what happened in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And you could go, you could kind of just link them because that was it.
What you find online though is like these sort of get misshared or misrepresented.
They do, yeah.
And sort of people will just sort of share them. Oh my God, The Simpsons predicting the future. Share. And
Chinese whisper. Yeah. Oh, is
that
intolerant? Is that intolerant to say these days?
Possibly. That is certainly what happened with the escalator one. That just got shared. Some like meme writing got put over it or whatever. As always, shared, miles away from its original ever source, and then it became that. Then
I guess another one that kind of, it was an eerie look into the future was the Siegfried and Roy tiger thing. Remember that?
Yeah.
The white tiger thing, is it? The
white tiger.
The circus performer people.
Where in The Simpsons, years before they happened, the white tiger attacked one of the two guys, And then years later, the Siegfried and Roy, who those characters are obviously based off
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
the exact thing happened. So,
To be
um,
fair though, on that
you
one,
know.
I mean, they were
How
around the
many
tiger a lot.
how many of those type of performers have been attacked by? Because like they always say, like I know animal cruelty people will always say that the people who train animals like bears and tigers and all that, they don't treat them properly,
No,
and
look at Joe
they
Exotic, for
resent.
example.
Yeah, they resent their owners, so they're gonna snap at some
Yeah.
point, you know.
Yeah. They're
Um,
waiting.
On the cards.
They're, wait, they're
on the
waiting.
cards.
They're waiting for that moment. I think, and the animal one day they just waiting for that moment, and yeah.
But another one that I thought was crap was the invention of the shard in The Simpsons in an episode in season
Well, the
6
building,
where
the shard.
I don't remember that.
yeah,
What's that one?
the thing. It's literally just a shot of Big Ben and
Oh, the
Big
London
Ben's
skyline sort of thing, like.
yeah, and it's exactly the same grey clouds as standard, and Big Ben is a digital clock. And then to the left of it, you see it's literally just a skyscraper, and it's not even like in any detail. You know, like something in a cartoon was in the distance. And it's just like
Yeah.
you know, like a triangle, really. And people are saying, "Oh, it's the shard." I'm like, it's no, they just chucked a building there.
That could be when people look too far into, perhaps. There, then.
It is. You know, there's been some funny ones. One I didn't realize, and I found the other day, was the Higgs boson particle.
Yeah.
So when that was discovered, the actual formula and the equation for it is eerily similar to the equation that Homer writes on a board in an earlier episode of The Simpsons when he's trying to be an inventor.
Right.
However, the writers of The Simpsons have said that that equation that they wrote there was based off of a prediction by Professor Peter Higgs in 1964. So they wanted to have some sort of accurate representation of it. I'm thinking that's
cool.
that's really good, like that they
Yeah.
do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty cool one.
Interesting.
Aye.
I'm
There's the Simpsons ones.
gonna throw in a couple of other celebrity spots. Now then, in that case, we've mentioned Trump a bit. Greta Thunberg. Now, this is a great one. Have you seen this photo?
I've seen
it
this
literally, it could be, it is her, as far as I'm concerned. Now, so a girl who couldn't look any more like Greta Thunberg appears in an 1898 image at a Canadian gold mine. The photo was released as part of a collection by the documentary photographer Eric Hegg. So none of the children within the photograph are named, no identities known, only the date and the location of Dominion Creek. So yeah, there is basically a girl who looks exactly like Greta, hair, everything, same face, looking sort of like directly into the camera, working or panning for gold, or whatever you want to call it, at the working Canadian gold mine. Again, I think this surfaced pretty recently as well, within the past sort of 3 years or so.
It's pretty recent, yeah. It's crazy how much this looks like.
It's a great out of all the celebrity time travel for this is by far the best. That is
you
just
wonder,
spot
like,
on.
You know, like we always make the joke that there's a million people that look like me out there because I got tons of doubles.
Oh yeah.
I wonder, like, how common is, you know, her Scandinavian features, because she could just have one of those faces that just appears pretty much everywhere, and it wouldn't surprise me if you know, Canada and Scandinavia have those ties. I'm pretty sure they do anyway, but yeah, it is mental.
Great photo though. You've
like
got to admit, it's a great photo. I mean, there's nothing I can go into in detail on that, other than the fact it's just a great photo. I just probably said all I can say on that, really. Great photo, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are other ones, such as this is quite a sort of common joke now with the actor Daniel Radcliffe. Various photos of the Harry Potter actor Daniel Radcliffe have surfaced, all at various points in time, that appear to show him at a certain point in time. he's even been appeared in interviews twice, both times on the Graham Norton show. Actually, Graham Norton, for the benefit of the tape, is a UK-based talk show, similar to something like Jimmy Fallon or what James Corden presents.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been addressed twice about this in TV interviews, where he's actually been presented with images and photos of people that look like him. Everything from people's ancestors that they've dug out, grandmas, an old-fashioned portrait found in like a charity shop or something, even an image of a supposed sex worker from the 1800s as even service. Now, my most favourite one, and I don't know if you will have seen this one, but this is an incredible lookalike one. Very similar in terms of tier to the Greta one we just mentioned. But there's a photo of someone who looks identical to Andy Samberg of Brooklyn Nine-Nine fame and Daniel Radcliffe, who both appear together in a 1978 high school yearbook photo. Now, this is a fantastic photo. There's little information on the photo, other than the fact it looks like them, and it was from a 1978 yearbook. I believe this one was posted to Imgur originally and sort of started doing the rounds from there.
Yeah.
But the likeness is absolutely uncanny. You could argue, though, in this photo that it also looks a lot like Elijah Wood as well. But then again, they do look very similar, them people anyway.
Andy Samberg, though. Andy Samberg is spot on in that
It's
picture.
amazing. It's amazing. I would even go as far as saying that is a young photo of Andy Samberg. It's incredible. Like it's that is proper top tier stuff. I thought when looking through some of this stuff, like I thought, oh yeah, okay, that looks a bit like him, or they sort of that you really sort of scraping the barrel there. But I've two top tier ones, but they would have been the Greta one and this one, absolute top tier. Like
what I find funny about the Daniel Radcliffe one is there's a lot of pictures where it's women that look like him.
Yeah, as I said, yeah,
You know?
The necklace, is it?
Yeah, that's sort of thing. Yeah, like even as I say, people's grandmas and stuff. There's some real funny clips of him, as I mentioned, on the Graham Norton show, where they showed him these photos and like some of them are women, and he's having a bit of a laugh about it and things. But yeah, I think he finds it funny, really. But yeah, there's been two occasions where he's publicly spoken about all this, and it's a regular thing, I think, to the point now where people are physically delving and looking for photos of Daniel Radcliffe through time, like, and some of them are sort of really skipping the bar. As it even says in the interview, like, it's got to the point now where it's literally just a person with glasses, sort of.
That sounds so familiar, Gareth.
Yeah,
that sounds so familiar,
much like yourself. Any sort of ginger sort of person with glasses is yourself. So yeah, he's basically the same with him now. But there's another one as well where there was a music hall. This is quite a famous one. This was again a Reddit user, and it's a music venue in Manchester in the 1940s, and it's sort of like a gathering of military servicemen. And right in the centre of the photo is pretty much Daniel Radcliffe with the military gear on or whatever, and that's quite a good photo as well.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, and that is that's a 1940s photo. So yeah, there's loads. I mean, there's loads. As I said, there's even one of a sex worker. There's a portrait of a woman. As I say, sometimes it's women that look like him, sometimes it's men. I find it quite funny though. There's loads. Like you could find it a real good pile of them. And he has addressed it, as I say, so it's quite funny when that is. Again, I'm not saying that Daniel Radcliffe is a time traveller, but it's just funny and it pops up a lot.
I like all the disclaimers in this one, guy.
But yeah, there's the Jay-Z one. The Jay-Z one as well is top tier. Again, I'm going top tier here. I'm not going anything below ones that are like wow. The Jay-Z one,
best and nothing but the best.
Exactly, yeah. The Jay-Z one, you must have seen that. That is a photograph from around 1939 apparently, during the American Depression. A flat cap man who looks, well, it could even be Jay-Z. Like that's so much he looks like him. I sort of like standing there looking cool and calm and directly at the camera, and it's a great photo, and again, top tier stuff, absolutely.
There's an Eddie Murphy one as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I just said the Eddie Murphy one. No,
what was the Eddie Murphy one? I might have chosen not to include that for some reason. Maybe he wasn't as good.
Kind of.
What's the Eddie? I'll have a look at that another time. Tell me about the Eddie Murphy one again.
There's a guy that looks like him.
Just looks
There's a
like.
guy that
There's,
looks like
there's,
him.
also, there's also one of like someone's dad or granddad is Matt Damon. Have you seen that one? In like a wedding photo. That's a really good one. That's a solid top tier one as well. He's got like a white tuxedo on. And
Who?
he's sort
Sorry,
of like,
who? I was laughing.
there's a Matt Damon time
Matt
travel
Damon.
one. That's top tier as well. But again, there's nothing really to say about it other than the fact someone has gone back through family albums and be like, oh my god, my ancestor looks like Matt Damon or whatever. Yeah, he's got like a white
that's not
tux
him.
on.
Well, the guy in the white.
Yeah, the white tux. It's amazing.
yeah.
Again, top tier, great stuff.
Yeah.
That is mental.
I believe, I can't remember, I couldn't find much of a backstory. I believe someone literally found it and it was their sort of dad or granddad possibly maybe, or it was found like, and it was like, oh my god, they looked exactly like Matt. And there's even a photo of Matt Damon, the real Matt Damon, in a similar position as well. I've seen side by
side.
Yeah, and it's uncanny. Like you think you're like, that's not Matt Damon. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, so they're the top tier stuff really. If there are any others you're aware of, by all means throw in. But for me, they are the top tier ones. Absolutely. Yeah, so we've spoke a little bit about some sort of celebrity time travelers there, and some real great examples of fantastic examples, in fact. So I'm going to sort of move a little bit more now on to time travel in films and media. So I'll start by the obvious one, Back to the Future.
As represented on your T-shirt, guys.
As represented on my T-shirt. So, I mean, I've obviously got to mention the Back to the Future trilogy. We're all aware of the story. The first Back to the Future film, of course, released in 1985, starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. And it's probably one of the first things you probably associate if I said time travel films, time travel TV. Incredibly iconic. The young Marty McFly and Doc Brown. Doc Brown, of course, who built a time travel machine out of a DeLorean car. Marty accidentally travels back to 1965, doesn't he? And he accidentally prevents his future parents from meeting, therefore threatening his own existence. 2 other films followed. Obviously, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, the latter being set in the Wild West. And of recent, a Back to the Future stage adaptation within 2020.
Probably the most famous example of time travel in media, like
Absolutely.
film and TV, I would say.
I've even got photos somewhere, which we can post somewhere by all means, of me actually sat in a DeLorean as well. Great.
I took that picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of random trivia on this one here. Apparently, a real DeLorean can't even go right. So the DeLorean in the film would have to reach 1.21 gigawatts of power needed to travel 88 miles an hour, right, to initiate the time travel. But apparently, a real DeLorean can't even reach that speed.
I've seen documentaries on the DeLorean and DeLorean himself. It's sort of a bit of a failure, I believe. It didn't really.
They were awful cars.
They cut corners as well on stuff. Yeah, they were badly made and corners were cut and stuff. And I don't actually think there's that many DeLoreans even built or in existence. I can't give you the figure off the top of my head right now, but there are not as many as you'd think ever even made of DeLoreans.
I remember watching an episode of the show Pawn Stars.
Right.
PAWN Stars.
I know it. Yeah, I know it.
And the guy brought in he souped up a DeLorean to look like the Back to the Future DeLorean.
Yeah.
And he was trying to sell it. And he brought it into the shop to the garage in the back, and they looked at it and they loved it. Like, they thought it was brilliant. It was really well done as well. But they couldn't buy it off him because they're like, we just don't know how much this is actually worth.
Yeah, how can you value that? Yeah, I mean, yes.
It?
Yeah.
He says, because if it was a film prop, if it was in the film, then yes, they could put a price on it probably.
Yeah.
But because he made it, it's like, it's really good, but they can't sell it.
So where does Goodnight Sweetheart fit into all this then, Gar?
I can tell you exactly how Goodnight Sweetheart fits into this, and there's never been a more perfect time to talk about Goodnight Sweetheart. So here we are. This is the moment I've always wanted in any SteegCast. Good night, sweetheart. So
We were reviving a season 1 gag beer.
totally, yeah.
The benefit, yeah.
So finally, we can talk about Good Night, Sweetheart. Good Night, Sweetheart is a British time travel based sitcom that stars Nicholas Lyndhurst of Only Fools and Horses fame. The sitcom premiered on the BBC in 1993 and ran for 6 series. However, it did briefly return in 2016 for a one-off special as part of the BBC's landmark sitcom season. So the sitcom is about the life of one Gary Sparrow, an accidental time traveller who begins to lead a double life through the use of a time travel portal he stumbles across at the back of a London shop alleyway, which therefore allows him to travel between what was at the time the 1990s London and the 1940s period during the Second World War. So the time travel encounters leads him to stumble across a pub called the Royal Oak, where he meets a barmaid, Phoebe, within that time, who becomes romantically involved with. And then this begins to lead further into his sort of double life and essentially time travel adultery as the series continues. As he makes friends with Reg, the dim-witted policeman, and his pub regulars, and in his modern day life, he uses his best friend to sort of cover his tracks and explanations of when he disappears and leads this double life. I assume you've all seen this show, by the way.
Nope.
A very long time ago.
So
I haven't seen it in years.
basically, when he travels back in time and visits Phoebe the barmaid, who changed actresses, by the way. Originally, she was played by Dervla Kerwin, and then it changed a few seasons on. Sean will tell you this as well. This is one of the
I hope not.
this is one of the only times where I'm like, Sean, why aren't you here? It's honestly like you would absolutely love this. I can only hope I do the conversation justice. But yeah, when he travels back in time, he explains his disappearances as him working as a government secret agent, and he sort of manipulates his knowledge of future events and he uses them to his advantage then, to his sort of explanations and disappearances. He also claims to, this is where he takes it too far. I feel, well, there was no need to do this, but he claims to be a bit of a singer-songwriter, and he passes off modern day songs as his own, much like the sort of Beatles Yesterday film.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is why I thought the Good Night Sweetheart. When you're taking it too far, baby, mate, there's not really any need to do that. Like, time traveling is enough. You've got like a bit on the side in the past as well now and things or whatever. You've got your double life now, but this would really mess with timelines now, because he's claiming to be a singer-songwriter, for example, passing off, I don't know, Beatles songs or whatever. So then when this time comes along then, does that mean that the Beatles and stuff won't exist or whatever? Or whoever, like, is he messing up the timeline there? But he often brings in sort of like items from present day, or things that were perhaps rationed in wartime Britain or simply not available. Again, which sort of backs up his claim to the sort of secret agent life he's apparently living. He claims a lot of these things have come from America and things like that, and passes off these elaborate stories or whatever. When he's back in the modern day, in the 90s, he simply explains to his partner, Yvonne, that he's been on big jobs or big call-outs for his work as a TV repairman. But as the series later goes on, he quits this role, and we see him by the shop that the time travel portal is sort of in front of or whatever, and he runs a sort of retro shop called Blitz and Pieces. This sells goods and stocks from the 1940s, sort of like war memorabilia. Obviously, the reason he's bought that is because he sort of got access to the portal, and he can obviously spend a lot more time at the shop now, and he uses that to his advantage, obviously. Yeah, I don't want to go too heavy into this, but he marries Phoebe, he has a son or whatever, and the series wraps up during 1945 VE Day. His modern day wife follows him to the shop I just mentioned, and she witnesses him disappear through the portal. He then becomes trapped in the 1940s. Then, in the 1940s timeline, after he saves a person, Clement Attlee, from an assassination attempt. He therefore believes that it was his destiny to travel back in time with the purpose of saving this guy's life, and the portal is closed because he's now fulfilled his purpose. And that's good, nice, sweetheart. But as I mentioned, the show did return briefly for one episode in 2016. Gary is still married to his past wife in this. This time, though, it shows him in the 1960s. His son is now a teenager. In this episode, Gary visits the hospital where he's actually been born. And it's crazy. It's crazy. He encounters his father there. His father faints, leaving Gary. His father faints, leaving Gary to hold his baby self. So he's literally holding himself as a baby. And this messes things up. And this causes Gary to be thrown into the future, this time to the 2010s era. He arrives in the toilets of a burger bar in East London, which is the location of his former shop. He bumps into his wife, Yvonne, who was his wife from the 90s, his later wife, who is now a multimillionaire from investments. She's renting out her basement to his best friend. He learns that she actually got pregnant, and he actually has a daughter, a teenage daughter. Again, he thinks about then contemplating a double life again, and this is where that episode ends. And the last thing we see of him, he discovers he's got a daughter, and he's thinking about living in the 60s and in the 2010s. And that's it. That's good, nice, sweetheart. That's it. Sean would have an awful lot to say about this, and it's such a shame that he's not here, because he's the only other SteegCast person that has any clue of what I'm talking about by here. But there it is. I've fully done a massive breakdown physically, mentally, and accurately there on Good Night Sweetheart. It's happened. We always wanted to fit it in.
It only took nearly 4 years to do.
It's taken 4 years, but there it is. I've done it. I feel like some balloons need to come down from my ceiling or something, or some confetti, or some sort of celebration needs to pop up on the screen. But there it is. That's Good Night Sweetheart. Yeah, UK based time travel comedy. I mean, anyone listening outside of perhaps UK may not have seen it. Might have been repeated at some points on various regions across the world. I don't know, but I'm going to move on to something me and Rich have already talked about. About like, oh, remember that show? Wasn't that great? It was. Let me get this date right. 11/22/63. Obviously, put the American way. It would be the 22nd of November, wouldn't it? Really? Yeah. So yeah, this was an 8-part miniseries based on the Stephen King novel, which Rich has in his room there, and I actually have in my living room as well. And this starred James Franco, who plays a time traveler who attempts to stop the assassination of John F. Kennedy. This was a great show. I really enjoyed this.
Really good.
Yeah, really I feel like I wanted more from it, even though the story sort of done all it could.
Yeah,
I felt
it
like
concluded.
I wanted more
Yeah.
Yeah, so he played an English teacher, didn't he? You're fully aware. He played an English teacher who found himself presented with a chance to travel back in time to 1960. He is talked into it by his friend, and sort of talked into going back to prevent the assassination of President Kennedy on November the 22nd, 1963. He sort of becomes, however, much like Gary Sparrow in Good Night Sweetheart, he becomes sort of too attached to that past lifestyle and sort of caught up within that life he's living. He even has a romantic interest, I believe. But that could obviously jeopardize his objective and mission. He's sort of there to sort of gather information about people and events leading up to the assassination, which is sort of that's his sort of task there, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as I say, he does sort of get caught up a little bit in that lifestyle, which sort of prevents.
Is there a twist at the end?
So there are it shows the consequences of time travel.
It's sort of a
Right.
butterfly effect type
yeah,
theory, isn't
yeah,
it? Yeah, it shows the consequences of messing with the timeline, doesn't it?
Now, for the benefit of
Yeah.
the tape, I haven't seen this, right? But I'm gonna pitch the twist that did he end up killing JFK because he tried to stop
No,
him
no, no.
himself? No. Okay, right. Fair. That's
No.
a bit obvious, that one.
It's based on a Stephen King novel, but and
Great book, great show.
Yeah. So you can take that for what it's worth.
Stephen
You
King's
know what
wrote
Stephen
a
King's
lot of
like.
shit books, man. A
He
lot
has.
of shit books.
He has, and there's a lot of his shit ones become really bad B movies, but then he does write the odd banger.
Yeah,
This is a really
that's
good
fair.
one.
Misery.
Great,
This is
it's
a really
just
good
great.
one, so.
It's absolutely great.
Anyway, I do want to ask a question, and it does kind of tie into like the Goodnight Sweetheart and Yesterday conversation. So, if you could erase a song from your mind, so say go back in time and stop yourself listening to a song so you could listen to it all over again, what would it be?
So we're talking, we're listening and experiencing
Something for the
first time
time.
again, and that
Yeah.
feeling of, oh my god, wow, sort of factor of it. Or
Yeah.
what is
Baby
this?
What, to experience it again?
Yeah. Baby Shark. Best song.
I don't know, to be
And
honest.
a
Jokes aside, I'm not sure. Maybe certain albums even rather than
Yeah.
tracks themselves.
Yeah.
I might have probably be a brand new song. Probably.
I mean,
don't know. It's a difficult one.
there are certain moments and times of my life where sort of have had a certain soundtrack or a certain like vibe, sort of like, you know, sort of like when Blink's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket came out,
That would be
and things like that, or like
the
Newfound
album,
Glory, Sticks and Stones. They sort of, you know, they're not like phenomenal groundbreaking albums, but they're very special and very important to me, and was certainly a big part in me sort of growing up and my musical taste, and even picking up an instrument and stuff, you know, picking up a bass guitar for the first time and things. So yeah, I would say sort of maybe discovering sort of these type of bands for the first time and thinking, oh wow, this is great. Or maybe even thinking, oh, this is something I want to do. I'd love to be in a band and play music and stuff. Or I want to go and see bands. I want to experience things. And so maybe something like maybe actual albums as such, discovering certain albums. And
albums,
things.
that would be a fair one. An album like my choices would probably be Take Off Pants, Jacket, Sticks and Stones, and Commit This to Memory by Motion City Soundtrack is a big album from my youth. But one that is like the kind of outlier, and I've said my love for this band on this cast before, is Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy.
Thin Lizzy,
because hearing it in my dad's car growing up, and it was kind of because it's completely different to everything else.
Exactly, yeah. It's raw and gritty, and it's like, whoa, you know, it's like, what is this music? This isn't on the radio, sort of thing, like, and
you know, they're more than just The Boys Are Back in Town. This is
exactly, yeah. I mean, in many ways, it's sort of like maybe like I sort of got into the Beatles from quite a young age, so maybe like I can remember I was maybe about 9 or 10 when I started listening to the Beatles and things like, and that was pretty cool to you because, you know, at the time there was like, I don't know, like your Spice Girls and whatnot about, and I picked up some Beatles records and I started listening to them, and so maybe something like that even. Yeah.
Well, that was a question that was posed to me by someone I work with.
It's a good question. It's a very good question.
It's a good question to ask on this cast, since it's about
time
travel
my credit my credit to that person. That's a great question to ask.
Thanks, Steve.
Did he say his choice by any chance?
No, because he said he's quite tough. Yeah.
He simply just asked the question.
He's thinking about it.
I was thinking, and let Richard know by all means. Definitely.
Yeah. Check your comments down below as well.
Yeah. I very curious to that. So I'll ask you then, in that case, as we sort of begin to wrap up this episode, if you could travel back and witness any period of time, simply just as a observer, if you could travel back and witness any period of time, which things or events would you choose or would you travel back to?
When the person that wrote Baby Shark come up with the idea.
This goes for our listeners though, as well as ourselves. Yeah. Is it a specific moment that you'd particularly like in time to travel back to and witness?
I would love to see the Beatles' rooftop performance.
That would be cool. Yeah,
That would be
the Savile Row, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I would say though, if you travel back in time to a Beatles concert, I would absolutely take ear protection because the scream
screams.
was so loud, absolutely deafening to the point where the band couldn't even hear themselves playing.
That's why they didn't like playing live.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we touched
that's
on this in the
partly
cast
the
when we
reason
talked
why
about
they
the
stopped.
Beatles.
And
But yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it would have been good to sort of be standing below in London, seeing something like that would be cool.
I think just to witness feudal Japan would be pretty funky.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
To witness the life, like pretty gritty though, and you know, not much like hygiene going on. And I shower pretty much like twice a day, so I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could do that.
I can't particularly think of one. I mean, even simple things like for Richard, maybe like a sporting event or a specific game or something, or like, but I maybe a concert or something perhaps, or for example like Live Aid when Queen was performing or something like iconic like that, or the Beatles performing somewhere or whatever. People would perhaps say that kind of thing. You know, massive iconic concerts and gigs and stuff. Perhaps that would probably be a popular one with people, I imagine.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure myself. I don't know. That's the thing. Like if someone put a time travel device in front of you right now and go, you can go anywhere you want back in time and see something. What would you go and see right now? I wouldn't know. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know myself. Yeah. No, but aside from altering with timelines and for own benefit, simply just to witness, just to stand there and observe and take it in.
You know what I'd do?
You know?
I'd go back to 1941 and watch a bridge open in Canada.
Yes.
That's what I'd do.
Other people, well, two people have there apparently, so why not? Yeah, why
And they're
not?
like,
You know what I mean? This is the best bridge I've ever seen in my entire life.
what if none of those
uh,
people in that photo are from that time and they're all just time travelers?
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much concludes this particular episode on time travel tales, really. I mean, it's certainly been a fun one, as I say. I mean, I've never at one point ever said I believe any of this stuff, but it's certainly been entertaining. This has been SteegCast Time Travel Tales. I thank you for joining us and your continued support. And we'll see you next time.
Ooh.
That out.